Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I am a Western astrologer and twin flame channel, and this is a video about the new moon in Gemini taking place on June 6th at 8:37 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time converter for your local time. It is a pleasure to be back with you for another lunar update. Couple of quick announcements. If you need a reading for your year, happy birthday, Gemini. Now's the time to book it. The June calendar is filling. You can find me over at kmoonastro.com. Lee and Sherry, our beloved coaches in the twin flame world on connection, are still recovering after their house fire. So if you have it available to contribute or help, please go check out their page. Link will be below this video, and find out what they need and how you can contribute to their recovery. Thank you for everyone who has been so generous up until this point. Everything, even small things, can help. Next, I am going to be live here on YouTube on Friday. Check the community section for the time. And I'm going to take a look at some of the Friday, June 7th. I'm going to take a look at some of the additional insights at this lunation for the other planetary energies. As I mentioned in the last lunar update that I did, I am going to be going sign by sign and doing all 12 signs rather than an in-depth look. But if you like that in-depth look, thank you for everyone who commented. I did read those comments. That'll be on Friday, and we will be doing that live. So if you'd like that, you can definitely join in the conversation, and I'll walk you through some of the aspects unfolding at this Gemini new moon. For this lunar update, we're going to get a general overview, and then I'm going to walk you through all 12 signs. So please listen for your sun, your moon, and your rising to get a better sense of how this unfolds for you and for your loved ones. And I will be keeping the first look segment of each lunar update. So if you want to have a listen for how the energy from this Gemini new moon progresses in 2 weeks to the Capricorn full moon, stay tuned until the end. I'll walk you through what that looks like as well. At this particular new moon, we can see it here at the 16th degree of Gemini, and it's making a conjunction to Venus as well, which highlights all things of value and love and connection and money and beauty. We're going to get into some details with that momentarily. We've got a trine to Chariklo here, and I'll talk about what that means. We've also got a square to Saturn in Pisces conjunct Nessus, and a square to Juno in Virgo. And this is going to open up what we as astrologers call a T-square, an aspect of tension. And I'll talk to you about what all of that means in just a moment. Overall, the intuitive message for this new moon is that it is ushering in permission for the following. Number one, knowing what you want and being able to explore, that's Gemini, your options, that is Gemini, sequences and timelines for having what you want in your life with other people. Gemini rarely deals with itself as a self, as the sign of the twins and the sign governing siblings, cousins, and neighbors. And this new moon featuring Venus, which is indicative of love connections. This new moon is very social, very communal, and is inviting us to take stock of what it is we want and being able to explore those options, sequencing, and timelines for having what we want in our life with other people in a way that is win-win based through communication, through curiosity, rather than living in either or programming. Secondly, second intuitive message for this new moon is that this is also about knowing what you don't want, and knowing that even if you don't know what you want or what you don't want, it's okay to not know. Understanding that you won't know at this time because there's still shifting happening within you that's going to reveal answers once that process is complete. So for now, your growth edge, if you just don't know, is learning how to live in the unknowns without forcing conclusions. That would be the opposite energy, Sagittarius. And uh, learning how to live in the unknown, even if it's uncomfortable. Third intuitive message with this lunation is knowing the difference between I don't know what I want and I don't know the answer, and I don't want to know what I want because I don't like my answer. This new moon is about giving ourselves space to see our reasons for not wanting to know so that we can recalibrate to our power and authority over our lives and their directions, as opposed to other people's power dictating what we are supposed to want, either based on our identity markers or what they want from us, or family programming or communal programming, or programming based on being a certain age or being a certain gender. All of that goes out the window. This is really about giving yourself permission to have a clean slate and getting that clarity for yourself based on your own spiritual journey here in the third dimension. Okay. And the last intuitive message was about knowing the difference between I actually do know what I want and I know what I've been told to want, and I'm actually willing to stand in what I want rather than what other people have dictated I should want. So feel free to listen to that again. I know it's pretty heady. Thank you, Mercury. Thank you, Gemini. But this is what underpins as a soul message for this new moon. Let's get into some of the aspects so that we can talk in more detail about this. That Venus is indeed conjunct this new moon is opening up a new cycle pertaining to everything we value, all the things of our heart's desires. Now, traditionally, Venus speaks to beauty, she speaks to money, and she speaks to love. In the beauty department, this is going to be an indication of potentially new ways of communicating that are beautiful, harmonious, bridge building, connective. Since this is Gemini, potentially even joining new communities and soul family. The Venus and Gemini energy is fantastic for the renewal of love, reunions, reconciliations with specifically siblings, cousins, neighbors, and soul tribe. But this can even ignite new love and new kinship of the soul family kind. Now, for those who have closed out soul family friendships, I know many of you have wandered into sessions with me in the last several years and mentioned that you feel lonely, you don't have any friends. Much of that has had to do with the fact that post 2020, there was a disintegration of a lot of the pre existing monad structures and soul family structures here on earth to make way for new connections, new soul family, new monad structures that are going to carry you into this next season and chapter of your life. Now, it's rare that that happens. I've been told that you typically come in through a monad and you roll not just in this lifetime, but across lifetimes in a particular monad group. However, some of the events and the astrological configurations lent themselves to a reconfiguration of those structures as people and specific spirits have been guided to be in specific places by specific times to learn specific lessons and to provide specific leadership during these very pivotal years here on Earth, which means you, me, all of us, many of us are moving into new monadic structures during this period of time. And so, if you have found that you had closed out a timeline with the group you were in, this is the period of time in which new people can arrive in your life. Okay. This new moon is one where that kind of soul family can really blossom in long lasting, deep friendship connections. New love across the board does seem to be the theme here, as well as blessings in love overall, with Chariklo here trine this new moon. And the Chariklo trine from Aquarius adds an element of surprise that is indeed a blessing and seems to come out of nowhere. This is the kind of blessing that just when you'd given up asking for what you wanted or releasing hope, something can happen that catches you off guard and sweeps you off your feet, since Aquarius is about quantum leaps forward, the new and the next. And if there are those of you who have been hesitant to try online dating, now is the perfect time to dip your toe in the water, especially if you have not been able to find love in other ways. What you get back in this energy is very likely to shock you in a very, very good way. The square from Saturn conjunct Nessus in Pisces here opens up an opportunity for stabilizing new love, albeit with some challenge. It will take a willingness to stay grounded and release the instinct to get the worst sides of Gemini or Pisces, which can get too heady or too emotional, and let overthinking and or overfeeling run away with us in the situation. You really want to get pay attention, because that Nessus energy can land you in obsession in this energy, and that can really compromise your ability to get the best of it. Now is the time to really forego being reactionary and instead be clear. What do we want? And take any opportunity to explore it with an open mind and a calm heart. These are the light sides of Gemini and Pisces, respectively. The square to Juno and Virgo down here. This is also highlighting the marriage and commitment elements inherent in this new moon. Again, from an aspect of tension, because it is a square, we're going to have to work a bit harder to bring this energy into the light. But Juno in Virgo is seeking discernment about the sequencing, the timing, double checking that we're in the right place and we're dealing with the right person or peoples when it comes to any contracts or agreements we may enter into at this time. It's a great idea with this aspect to make sure you're reading the fine print and ironing out any yellow or red flags with this very thoughtful new moon in Gemini. There are other aspects we're going to talk about on Friday that speak to even more communication being productive at this time. Mercury and Jupiter conjunct, for example. But for now, know that if there's something you need to get off your chest, say it. If there's something you need to ask, ask it. This is the time where, again, open minds and calm hearts can come to solutions that can be a win-win for everyone involved. Now, this Saturn Jupiter opposition that, not Saturn Jupiter, sorry, Saturn Juno opposition that we see here, both of them square to the new moon, does constitute what we as astrologers call a T square. Beneficial, where in shadow, too much Gemini can create some tall tales energy, some exaggeration energy, and that's just in shadow. Gemini has its light qualities, which we've talked a lot about already. But in shadow, we can get some of that confusion, tall tales, exaggeration type of energy. And too much of that can become problematic and taking advantage of the rebirth here at this Gemini new moon, and having good communication that stabilizes connection at this new moon. However, that T square is actually really helping us by showcasing what we need to do in order to avoid that. So, anytime there's a T square astrologically, the solution to the tension rendered by the planets is for us as luminary bodies ourselves to occupy the sign that is conspicuous in its omission, and that is Sagittarius. We have no placements directly opposite this particular new moon. And so, as a result, we as luminary bodies can lean into the Sagittarian energy of truth, of clarity, of transparency, of standing up for our vision. And in so doing, it eliminates the capacity for this new moon to render itself in shadow in our lives. Okay. Making Sagittarius behaviors, choices, and acting in Sagittarian ways can really keep us from overthinking, over talking, confusing ourselves with too much information, going way too broad, and refusing to land the plane. The Sagittarian imperative for truth, clarity, vision, end game, and for learning rather than talking in circles is going to clean up any energy during this new moon that can roam too far left or too far right. One of the most powerful openers for communication that I ever received was from a woman I used to be friends with. And whenever she had something hard to say or difficult to talk about, and she struggled to either A, get the words out, or B, know the truth for herself, she would open the segment with the vulnerable truth is, and she would end that sentence with whatever it was, the thing that was true that she did not want to say. And so that is our invitation for working with this Gemini new moon is we can harness a script like that to really get the best out of communication at this new moon. Now, where it comes to money in this energy, much of the same information prevails. There is a chance for money to improve under the influence of this new moon, but it is going to be a function of conversations, communication, also, collaborations, marketing, and putting yourself out there. So, if you work in a company or an organization, you can use this as the perfect time to have the conversations required to either score a raise or set up the metrics required to get a raise with your supervisors. Secondarily, this is a wonderful opportunity to brush up that resume and apply for a position that would be a fit for your next step and honors who you've become and everything you've learned. With a new moon like this, it's very likely you can take a step forward in your career as opposed to a step laterally. Now, if you work for yourself, like I mentioned, this new moon is great to connect with collaborators, affiliate marketing partners, take on new marketing and PR campaigns, especially across social networks, because Gemini governs a lot of our social networks. If you've been seeking brand partnerships or sponsorships or need to sign new contracts to establish new collaborations, this new moon is the perfect energy in which you can embark on a new endeavor on equal footing with your partners. So that's very exciting. The only thing I would say is you want to stay very mindful again of the fine print. Pay attention. Now, if you've heard anything here that resonates, I invite you to please remember to give this video a thumbs up. It always helps content creators get their content circulated for the algorithm. And if you would like a deeper insight into how to work with this in a way that's personalized for you based on your chart, feel free to book a personal reading with me over at K-Moon Astro. The link is in the description box below this video. All in all, this new moon opens up a beautiful new cycle of love and or money in many lives. And now let's take a look at how this new moon will impact your sun, moon, or rising, and the sun, moon, and rising of the people you love. We'll start with our friend Aries. Let me go ahead and pull the Aries chart so you guys can see how that looks. And I'll just reshare screen here. There we go. All right. Aries. Aries, for you, this new moon is going to take place in a part of the sky here, the third position from your sun sign. It's going to take place in the part of the sky that relates to short distance travel or short educational programming, even online programming. If you've wanted to take a quick trip or do a short workshop online, this is a great time to do it. There's a lot to learn in this energy about who you are and why you are the way you are within it. So, anything related to personal development, especially as it pertains to love, since Venus is featured, and your self worth and self esteem, your personal value, because Venus governs Taurus, which is the second position from your sun, all about your self worth, self esteem, and personal value. And it governs Libra, which deals with the seventh position from your sun, which is all about your love connections. Any classes, workshops, coaching, therapy you can undertake pertaining to that at this time is going to go a long way in helping you get to where you want to be. Okay. There's like I said, a lot to learn here. Further, if you've been wanting to establish collaborations for your business or in your role at work, now's the perfect time for you to create those alliances and solidify them so that you can take your career to the next level. Lastly, you, out of all the signs, Aries, are most likely to make a new friend in this energy and have a conversation, take off into instant connection. This new friendship does indeed have the potential to turn into love in the fullness of time, as the ruler of your romance sector, that's Venus, is indeed highlighted at this particular new moon. Now, speaking of love, Aries, this new moon is the perfect time for thinking through where you're at in love and why. If you've been wanting to take your love life to the next level, Aries, now's the time to either, like I said, take on some form of education, coaching, or learning to help you break through old blocks in love. That T square energy, again, recall that Saturn and Juno are both T square to this new moon on the axis of power for you, is inviting you to into some honesty with yourself about where you've allowed the past and other people to hold you captive to a reality that does not match your truth. And that is giving you a chance by occupying the Sagittarius energy, as we talked about in the introduction to this video. That is going to give you a chance to use your faith in yourself and your vision for your life to break free. Aries, you can in fact have more. If you're in an established bond, Aries, this may be a period of time where you're releasing either old patterns or may even see the conclusion of a long established connection so that you can make room for new patterns or a new person that's more aligned to who you have become. There are major insights and breakthroughs available to you in the love department, Aries, as well as an invitation to engage in loving in a way that allows you to operate in more empowered ways, trusting that whatever life brings, you can indeed handle it. All right, Aries. If you need any support with that, definitely feel free to book a reading with me over at kmonastro.com. Happy to walk you through this in your chart. Taurus, if you happen to be a Taurus sun, moon, or rising, for you, this new moon is going to be all about money. This new moon is taking place in a sector of the sky for you that deals with your self worth, self esteem, and financial compensation. This is the best time for you all year to angle for a raise at work, and have the necessary conversations or just ask the questions, or perhaps even apply for a job that can pay you more. You're very likely to get what you ask for at this time, but the trick is to be bold in the asking and be ready to take on more responsibility in the exchange. And the reason more responsibility is indicated has to do with the Saturn square from your 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams fulfilled here, as well as Pluto gracing the 10th position from your sun and your rising here. This is indicating greater responsibility, power, and authority in the world of work for you. Whether Taurus, if you work for yourself, the growth here is in learning how to advocate for yourself with your collaborators, with your industry partners, I guess you could call them. Helpful friends and collaborators can hold the key to more money for you. Now, whether you take on a joint project or promote one of their projects as an affiliate, the rewards look huge for you when it comes to financial gains. What you ask for, you are very likely to get with Chariklo in trine from the 10th position to your sun to this new moon. So now is the time to step up and step into the spotlight. Now, Taurus, where it comes to love, it's very likely you may have had something pop off in the world of work, only for it to have gone quiet or ceased a bit at this time. If there's love in the workplace at this lunation, but it seems out of reach or unattainable, understand that this is temporary. There's a calling here for you to put love on cruise control and let your career take up more of your attention at this time. Taurus, for those of you in an established bond, you may find at this particular new moon, it's necessary for you to stand behind your value in the connection and what you bring in the connection, and really water and nurture your self worth and self esteem in the connection. This may require you to create some new boundaries so that the desires of your heart can manifest by creating and solidifying a new timeline through new structures in your established partnership or bond. Where there has been too much of an open door, a revolving door, or too little focus on a specific direction for the connection, you will find that at this new moon in Taurus, opening up conversation about what you both want and what you both need from the other to meet the other person's desires is in fact going to help you solidify and deepen the bond more than at any other time. Take time with those conversations. Try not to force it. Taurus, you're going to be in great shape as you move into the remainder of the year. Okay, let's talk about Gemini. Gemini, this is your new moon. Happy birthday, Gemini. Okay. Gemini, you're going to experience this new moon in a sector of your life that has to do with yourself and your own identity. Who are you now? What do you want now? This is your annual new moon and the beginning of your personal new year. You'll see a lot of activity from the planets here in your sign. This new moon for each sign each year gives us all a chance to chart the path forward based on who we've become. And for you, this year's Gemini new moon is asking you to deeply reflect on your values, what matters to you, and how you can align your life to what matters to you. Because this new moon for your year opens with a T square, as you move, and there's that T square for you, Gemini, Saturn and Juno squaring this new moon. As you move through this rotation around the sun, you may notice some tension around what your life looks like and your current commitments within it, and how you can get your commitments to be more aligned with your values and your identity that have emerged through the way you're now valuing yourself. You've taken a step up, Gemini, in the way you see yourself in the world. You understand yourself through new eyes now, and it's time to recalibrate many of your commitments and obligations to be a reflection of what you can now contribute and who you now are. When your new year starts with Venus connected to the sun like this, and there's Venus connected to the sun, yay, Venus. You may find that this year you're a bit more magnetic, that things just come to you and manifestation moves pretty quickly. Like the minute you think it, you have it. So it will be important, Gemini, to stay mindful of how powerful you are. And again, as I mentioned in the opening message for this lunar update, really imperative that you know what you want as opposed to what you're supposed to want and align your life accordingly. Gemini, where it comes to love, this new moon is opening up your intuition about how to find it and how to create it where you are. You may notice dreams, intuitive nudges, and the hints about how to enhance and deepen a current connection or where to find love and how to let love in unfold at this time. And this is because the ruler of your relationship sector is sitting just behind this new moon in a position that's indicative of heightened intuition. Now, what as these hints and nudges come in about the changes and shifts you need to make to get to the next step in love, you may notice that there needs to be some shakeups and change-ups in your life. That could mean for you changing up your career so that there's more alignment for you personally and you have the energy and the bandwidth for connection and you're not so drained or burnt out. It could also be changing your relationship with friends and family so that you have space for it and they understand that you will be choosing for your life based on who you are as opposed to who they are. It could even mean shifting your relationship to your physical health or self image so that you personally feel attractive to you when you look in the mirror. This moon is going to open up the revelations that will show you this is what you personally have to do to take your next step in love. When you get the intuitive hit, it's going to be up to you to run with it and use it. If you need any help with that, Gemini, you know where to find me. Link is in the description box below. Now, we'll talk about Cancer. Okay. Cancer, for you, this new moon is unfolding in a position in the sky that has to do with your intuitive realm, the dream state, and specifically your capacity to connect with all that is. Your dreams could be very active right now and be laden with symbolism and messages specifically about your finances. You may also get some symbols, intuitive hits, and dreams that reveal changes you need to make to put yourself on a better financial path or create more abundance. Because of the T square with Saturn and Juno, and here that is for you on the 3-9 axis, you may find that what's required is challenging to execute due to pre existing financial commitments. However, if you can use the Sagittarian energy that we talked about at the opening of this video, use that Sagittarian energy to harmonize with truth and reorganize your existing commitments around your evolution and what's true for you now. You're going to be able to land at a creative financial solution that empowers those around you and allows you to invest in your future the way you're ready to now. Now, this new moon is also going to provide some deeper insights, intuitive hits, and even dreams about the people around you in love and any shifts you need to make to some of your most significant personal relationships outside of your family to facilitate alignment with who you really are. For some of you, this is going to be where you get an intuitive hit that a conversation needs to be had to rebalance power dynamics in a connection so that you can participate in a way that values the person that you've become and what it is you want and need in your life now. For others, this could be an aha moment that feelings for a person that were once there are no longer there, or that feelings of attraction and chemistry have developed that may be slightly inconvenient to act on at this time. Nevertheless, Cancer, Cancer rising, and Cancer moons, the planets indicate there may even be some sense of obsession with the object of your affection or obsession getting to that next step in love. Continue to take it step by step and own your truth, Cancer. And that's going to be the way that you're able to clear up any confusion and utilize that intuition that's coming in to take that next step. Okay, Leo, Leo rising, and Leo moon. This new moon, Leo, for you will be taking place in a position of the sky that governs your friendship, your hopes, wishes, and dreams, and your colleagues. As this new moon peaks, the themes that will show themselves will have something to do with the shakeup in the world of your coworkers and friendship circle. You may find yourself in a new situation at work or in your friendship circle where you recognize your value or status has been elevated in the eyes of your peers. And if not, you've elevated your own value and status in your own eyes. And thus, it's necessary for you to assist others in how they value and treat you now. This may call for some much stronger boundaries, Leo, in particular with regards to how you are paid or compensated for any work you do. For some, there may even be some necessity for renegotiating wills or settlements. There are those of you, and that's specifically because we have Saturn in the eighth position here, and this opens up for you a need to look at what we call other people's money, and that includes wills, settlements, taxes, and the like. There are those of you who will have to rectify your relationship with taxes and the way you value what you do in the world by abiding within the rules of the world to create stability for what it is you want. So, situations like paying overdue tax bills, paying off debt can help you create the foundation and wholeness you need to accomplish more of your hopes, wishes, and dreams. Leo, for you, where it comes to love, you're going to find this new moon is part of a series of lunations that's changing the game when it comes to your love life. Now that Pluto is in the sign that governs your relationship sector, and there it is, all of this year has probably felt very different when it comes to love. This new moon in particular may afford a turning point when it comes to your love life through a blessing that is aligned to your hopes, wishes, desires, and dreams that has arrived after a period of confronting things that may have angered you, brought up shame for you, or possibly even created some fear. Those are all things related to Pluto. And the blessing Chariklo here is indeed connected to this new moon for you. If you've stepped into greater empowerment in the last several months with regard to situations of that nature, you're going to find that this new moon does bring that blessing and a turnaround. However, if an if you've allowed yourself to be bullied by fear, by anger, or by shame internally, you'll find this new moon opens up options to talk through how to get more of what you really want in love. But it is going to require that you take a bigger stand for who you are, standing in your personal power, your worth, your value in your own eyes, and through new agreements and consistently enforced boundaries. A new chapter can emerge, almost as if a phoenix is rising from the ashes. Leo, if you need any support with that, you know where to find me over at kmoonastro.com. Let's have a look now. Let's have a look now at Virgo. Virgo, Virgo rising, Virgo moons. For you, this new moon is taking place in a part of the sky that is opening up new pathways in your career, Virgo. and there it is. Oops, that's your sign. Sorry. Here is the new moon for you. New pathways with regard to your career. Virgo, for you, there are amazing opportunities to be seen in the workplace, stepping into the spotlight with significantly greater responsibilities. You may see yourself step into a promotion with a new project or task that puts you in the limelight. This project will come in with considerable questions, choices, conversations that may actually have you straddling between two projects at once or making you feel like you need to do two jobs at once. You may feel a bit like there are no ideal options just yet, or even like you're being put in a difficult situation, tugged in different directions, regardless of the options. If this is the case, the answer is the one that allows you to do what you're best at, Virgo and Virgo rising. The option that allows you to use your ability to discern, decipher, prioritize, make decisions. The one that allows you to use your ability to sequence, rationalize, reason, and use your dedication toward completion. In other words, the right choice is going to be the choice that allows you to shine. That's going to be the best choice for you. As we move into the second half of this year and as early as within the next 6 weeks, Virgo, you're going to see that in the eyes of the workplace, you've become everything you knew was possible for you when you're standing in the limelight and everything that was always meant for you. Now, Virgo, in the love department, you're going to find that this new moon continues a conversation about new boundaries that started late last year. That conversation amplifies as this new moon in Gemini, at this new moon in Gemini, as there seems to be some level of push and pull between your career and your love life, as well as some level of mirror between your love life and boundaries and your workplace and boundaries that are going to require your perspective on yourself and your what you bring to your partnerships to be up leveled in order to experience more stability, more structure, and greater longevity. There is a closing out of a cycle underway in your love life, Virgo, that began in 2014 and is closing out in 2026 as Neptune ends its transit in your opposite sign. But we see Neptune here at that 29th degree. It's been here since 2014 as it wraps up in 2026. And the wrap up starts now. This 1.5 year, 2-ish year wrap up is really going to showcase for you what you're ready to let go of. As it closes, you'll find that your love life takes on fresh wind as relationships where there have been Neptunian themes, such as a lack of boundaries, a lack of closure, or a lack of support for you to be yourself in these relationships. They're going to find their way to either restructuring or closure with major signals for that closure this year, and especially at this new moon where Saturn is playing such an active role in demanding your wholeness and integrity, Virgo. Okay. Where things are aligned and have been for a long time in romantic partnership, you're going to find that this new moon is where your relationship like takes a step up and gives you the reassurance you need that you're on more solid ground in love than you've ever been. Okay. Now, let's take a look at Libra, Libra rising. And for those of you who like to listen to your moon sign, the Libra moon. Okay, Libra. This new moon will activate a part of your life that has to do with long distance travel, higher education, or continuing education, and your faith and belief in yourself. Let's get that highlighter back. Here we go. There's that new moon in Gemini for you, Libra, right here. This is going to have you exploring what's possible for you when it comes to your own raw potential and who you are, and whether or not you can live up to your potential in all areas of your life now that you've closed some significant chapters in your story. For some of you, that closing will continue into the end of this year as you come to terms with who you are and who you are not anymore. And as you refine your identity during this South Node transit through your sign, lots of integration of big lessons that have been with you throughout the last 9 years. As this as this kind of closing and refinement assists you with clarifying who you used to be and detoxing all of what you are no longer, you're going to find that your potential opens up. And this new moon is a significant new moon that should hit you like a breath of fresh air. Whether you take up a new class, open up new travels, or invest in your potential in other ways with this new moon, now is the time to take yourself seriously and take yourself to the next level, Libra. Where it comes to love, this new moon will have you feeling inspired to be more of yourself than you may have ever been in your romantic connections. You may not have realized that you were even wearing a mask in certain connections, but now you're starting to recognize that there are certain things you're willing to show right off the bat in your dating life. Now, if you're an established bond, this move will allow your partner to see the real you and take your intimacy to greater heights. You may also find that you're feeling particularly motivated to connect intimately, physically, as you come into this period of being more of who you are. Now, if you're open to love and not in an established commitment at this lunar update, you may find that this period opens up a reconnection or second chance with an ex. You may also find that this period facilitates connection with someone new who makes you feel like a whole new you is possible and a whole new way of being connected is possible as you begin a whole new way of being yourself in all areas of your life. Libra risings, if you need any assistance breaking this down in your own chart, you know where to find me. Link is just below this video. Okay, let's have a look now at Scorpio and Scorpio rising. If you'd like to listen for Scorpio moon, you can. Scorpio, for you, this new moon is going to take place in a part of the sky that has to do with closing out significant seasons of either debt and financial obligation and duty, and potentially mental confusion, and opening up possibility and clarity for you. This new moon and the weeks that follow will help you release parts of your identity that you're ready to shed. Where there has been mental anguish, a feeling of being double minded, not knowing which path to take, in particular in love or to do with a legal matter of a financial nature, you're going to find that this new moon is beginning a process for creating clarity. This process will require that you keep an open mind and have a look at all of your options before deciding on a singular path. In particular, read the fine print. If you need to get a second opinion, do so. But where you've given into negative thinking, defeatist mindsets, or toxic beliefs about yourself or your future, in this energy, you could see those things become self-fulfilling prophecies. It's going to be critical to turn this thinking around so that you can get out of cycles of death and move into cycles of rebirth into light. For you, Scorpio, this goes well beyond positive thinking. This is about making a decision and having the spiritual, emotional, and behavioral discipline to follow through with turning your thoughts into things and aligning your partnerships accordingly. Where you've allowed collaborative connections that have hindered your creative authority, this is when you are going to find that this new moon invites you to put an end to those so that there's room for collaborators who support your true value and allow you to truly value yourself and your gifts. Now, Scorpio, where it comes to love, your love life is about to take a turn for the better with this new moon, since it incorporates Venus, which is the governor of the house that specifically deals with partnerships for you. In true scorpionic format, at this new moon, you may find that there is some connection that deepens through physical intimacy and goes through a process of renewal through the alchemy of a physical bond. For some of you, this bond won't necessarily be physical, but will consist of an emotional and intellectual intimacy, revealing more of yourself to another in conversation. That's Gemini, and this is the position of intimacy in the sky for you. For those of you in an established connection, if there's been any back and forth in that connection, double mindedness about the direction of the connection or the goals you have together, this is where you can establish clarity and a path forward. Now, for those seeking a connection, this new moon will allow you to connect with what will have to change, potentially in the area of communication and emotional intimacy, for you to invite love in. This will constitute a turning over of a new leaf when it comes to love, one that allows your head, your heart, and your body to move in a far more unified direction. Scorpio, Scorpio rising. If you need me, you know where to find me. You can always book a reading over at kmoonastro.com. Now, let's have a look here for Gemini. Sorry, Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising at this Gemini full moon. Here is the, sorry, new moon. Here's the new moon for you, Gemini. Sagittarius, for you, this new moon in Gemini is going to open a completely new chapter in your love life. This has been underway for several lunations now. And this is the true new beginning you may have been waiting for, but it does appear you're going to need to take it step by step because that's the way Gemini works. You're going to need to take this step by step and explore either the right way to proceed or the right person for you. Gemini works through curiosity, inquiry, and step by step rather than predetermined outcomes. This is a time for being really clear about what you desire with Venus conjunct the new moon in your opposite sign, Gemini or Sagittarius. And in particular, where there has been tension in a relationship, or even the shadow side of Gemini in love, which is love triangles, love confusions, lack of boundaries, the answer for you is to be truthful and honest with yourself about what it is you truly want and what's a true fit for who you really are. The answer for you is also to be transparent about who you are and what you want and create those boundaries with others in your life. This new moon places a demand on your authenticity in your love connection, Sagittarius, and it asks you to be real with yourself about what you truly desire and want, and be honest with your partners as well. Sagittarius, where you may have wondered, what is the truth in your connection with someone? This particular new moon is going to clarify that truth by clarifying where you're at and allowing you to create your own reality based on that truth. Now, Sagittarius, when it comes to the world of work and money, this year you've been in a process of weeding out any toxic patterns you've participated in inside of your relationship to money and the way other people's value you through making a greater investment in how you value yourself. People treat us the way we treat ourselves. Through taking a stand in your value in the workplace, Sagittarius, you're creating access to alliances that serve you. With Juno in the position that she's in here in the 10th position from your sun. She's all about partnerships and alliances. This is a period in which you're going to see more of the true colors of those you work with, and your own true colors are going to be obvious to those around you as well. And this will help you know where to invest your time and energy in your workplace, partnerships, and alliances to create greater job security and even get ahead. All right. Sagittarius and Sag rising. If you need any help with that, you know where to find me over at kmoonastro.com. Let's have a look now at Capricorn. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. For you, this new moon appears to be focused on your physical health and well being as it takes place in a location in the sky that has to do with your day to day living and your health and well being. You may feel very guided to explore a new health routine or daily schedule and discover how it works to maintain your mental health in particular. This could be some form of exploring positive thinking, affirmation, somatic work, therapy, or coaching to help you maintain emotional and nervous system regulation. It does appear in the lunations leading up to this one that you've identified that a change is needed to ground your life more directly when it comes to your mental and physical health and the connection between the two. You, by this point, have seen the links between the two, and with this new moon, you're ready to take the leap into trying something new that can help you close any gaps. Additionally, if any relationship in your life appears with imbalanced power dynamics and has been undermining your wholeness or your ability to bring your best self to the table, this new moon is where those power dynamics can be favorably reset through some very candid conversations about what's working, what could work better, and what your boundaries are. Capricorn, where it comes to love at this particular new moon, you may sense that things are just on the brink of changing, but have not gotten there yet. A sense of almost there, but not yet when it comes to taking an established bond to the next level of commitment and security. For you, this new moon is indicative of a lot of conversations that come from the heart and feature a level of vulnerability and transparency about what could work in order to move forward together. Cap, this is a lot less about throwing down the gauntlet with here are my needs, meet them or we're done rhetoric, but instead about considering where compromise and negotiation can serve both parties to work toward a mutually sustainable future. As in, here are my needs. What do you need in order to meet me there? And what are your needs? Conversation, curiosity, and transparency, the hallmarks of Gemini and its opposing sign Sagittarius, which is indicated via the T square that we've talked about in the introduction to this lunar update. These things, conversation, communication, and some transparency and curiosity, are going to be critical to help your connection take that next step. For those of you who are open to something new, it's likely to happen in some unusual places or with some unusual people, such as at the gym, the doctor's office waiting room, while you're running your weekly errands, or it could even be with someone who's slightly inconvenient to be drawn to, as they either may be an inconvenient distance away from you or be connected through a family member or again, some sort of established imbalanced power dynamic. No matter the case, love initiated under this lunation Capricorn is going to require ample conversation, communication, and for some, even a few conversations about early on boundaries in order to make it work. Capricorn, you got this. And if you need any help breaking this down, you know where to find me over at kmoonastro.com so you can get specific guidance directly from your chart. Okay, Aquarius and Aquarius rising. This lunation, new moon in Gemini, takes place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with fertility, and it comes with a significant amount of creative and fertile juice for creative projects, and quite literally, if you're trying to conceive. It's also linked with new beginnings with your children and creative work. This is a perfect time to nurture your own inner child as well. Whether it's working with a child of your own or a creative project of your own, inspiration and new ideas are likely to unfold for you at this new moon through conversations and interactions with children or your own inner child. You may also recognize that this new moon invites you to create greater structure and boundaries with your creative projects or with your children so that you can bring your best self to the table, Capricorn. If you've been back and forth on whether or not you've wanted children, this new moon is where a decision could get made and you're able to see the path forward toward conception or adoption or surrogacy or some other path become available for you. If you've been unsure about a creative project, this is where you may find the clarity you need through conversations with others that illuminates the direction you can take that will be constructive to bringing it from idea and into form. It's an exciting time where new things are springing forth, Aquarius. Now, where it comes to love at this new moon, you may notice a little flirtation taking off and going in a new direction. This is because the ruler of your romance sector is sitting with this particular new moon at this time. Now, it may lack a little clarity where you have to wonder or guess, is this person flirting with me or are they just being friendly? The magnetism will be mutual, and it's very likely the confusion may be mutual as well. So, if you'd like to make it known that you're into this person, this is a great time to do so, as there's a lot of potential for things to progress from here. If you're in an established romantic connection, this is where you can see that bond getting a breath of fresh air with some creative new ways of connecting. You may even find this is the perfect time for a short trip together or a family trip with nieces and nephews or children of your own at this new moon. Further, this is a fabulous time if you've been in a connection where there is potential for blended families. Both of you have kids. This is a great time for the families to get together and get to know one another. Okay. And last but not least, we will talk to Pisces before we get to the first look. Pisces and Pisces rising. This new moon takes place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with your home. If you've been considering some home improvements that could assist you with working from home, hosting more, or even subletting or Airbnb your home so that you can travel, this is the perfect time to get it done. As this home sector has a lot of luminaries, including the luminary that brings in fresh new beginnings, that includes Jupiter. That is Jupiter. Okay, there it is. You may find that you also take on a temporary home, gain a vacation home, or take a short trip in this energy to a place that is a home away from home. This is also the perfect chance if you've been considering having a niece or a nephew or extended family come to visit and stay with you. The energy shows that this is a perfect time to do so, and great conversation and connection is available under the light of this new moon. If you've been on the hunt for a new home, this is where you might find it potentially even you might find it or potentially even have a short stay with siblings, cousins, or neighbors in the interim while you move through any home improvements or renovations or a home search. Whether you're finding a new home, taking a short trip to a home away from home, or updating your home in some way, this seems to be part of the setup for an upgrade in your love life as well. And for some of you who are Pisces and Pisces risings, this will even be about conversations with family of origin as you work through some potentially new chapters together that will set up solid ground for you to have a new blueprint in your love life. Speaking of love, Pisces, when it comes to that saying home is where the heart is going to ring true here. This new moon marks the prelude to new beginnings in love that allow you to invite love into your home if you're in an established bond and looking to take it to the next level. So, activities or dates at home, dinners, movie or game nights, even projects you can do together at home have the potential to deepen the bond here. Further, you may find that this new moon is where a lot of negotiation can happen if you and your partner are considering moving in together. If you're open to meeting someone new, this is where love can literally walk right through your front door if you're open to it. Neighbors, delivery people, even those who may pick you up for an Uber ride could carry surprising potential to either introduce you to someone that could turn into something more, or that connection itself could turn into something more through some candid conversation. This is also a perfect time to set up some meet and greets online if you are open to online dating, as meeting people over FaceTime or Zoom can allow for no pressure, organic conversation and let you know if there's a connection before there's anything on the line. Take this opportunity to be open, Pisces. You'll find the more open you are, the more likely you are for love to find you right where you live. Thank you all so much for listening to your sun, moon, and rising, and for that of anyone you love. Now, let's have a look at the full moon in Capricorn coming up on June 21st. I'll show you that chart now. Let's have a look at that full moon in Capricorn coming up on June 21st at 9:07 p.m. Eastern, if you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. This segment of every lunar update, called First Look, gives us an opportunity to see how the energy progresses from one lunation to the next so that you have a sense of what to expect. And our full moon takes place here at that first degree of Capricorn, very interesting, with an opposition to Venus, who was also highly featured inside of the Gemini New Moon. We see as well, okay, just looking around the wheel. Okay, so we have a square to Neptune, interesting. Hmm, okay, in conjunct Jupiter. Okay, I think that's the most prominent aspect that I'm picking up. We see a little bit of a sextile here from the creation goddess. Okay, so we know that full moons specifically portend closings and endings, and with Neptune in the position that he's in via sextile, and we see that Venus and Neptune in trine, there does seem to be some level of like spiritual closing to a relationship. As we get into the middle of 2024, this particular Capricorn full moon is very linked in many ways to the eclipse cycle that we've been in, where we have the South Node in Libra closing out either relationships themselves or relationship patterns that we have outgrown, making space for some new beginnings as we lean into becoming a newer person. But looking at this new moon in and of itself, what we have here is the closure energy. This is an energy to me that's speaking of the dissolution or the dissolving of some sort of partnership, but also some recognition of higher level love in a partnership where if there has been any sort of conditions, this is where the unconditional love does seem to open up and people have the opportunity to love each other while doing what it is that they each need to do individually. I'm going to have to study this a little bit more for greater insights, but that is my first take at given my first look at this Capricorn full moon. If you've enjoyed this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up. Please and thank you. Helps the algorithm, guys. And if you would like to have a look at how all of this plays out in your personal blueprint and chart, you can book with me over at kmoonastro.com. The link is directly below this video. Thank you so much, and bye for now.